Revenge films.
I got involved in a car accident on my way to work and was hospitalized for 3 weeks due to the injury. I was never hospitalized this long, but when I called my work, they said that it's great that I was alive and that I should take a good rest for the recovery. It was a relief to hear that, but I had a problem with home. I asked my wife Nora to bring my clothes and stuff, but at one point I couldn't get in touch with her during the day. I mentioned it to her and she said,
Huh? Do I have to tell you everything I do? You sound like a stalker. It's creepy.
I was shocked that she called me a stalker, but my worries about her whereabouts during the day remained. But I was still in the hospital bed and not free to do anything. I had to ask Nora for certain things. So even though she was mean to me, I had to beg her to do things for me. One day I couldn't get in touch with her again. This time was long. It was for 3 days. I was frustrated at first, but I began to worry about her. Maybe she fell and couldn't move at home or something. Once the thought clouded my mind, I couldn't stay still and was going to ask the nurse for permission to leave for a few hours. Then somebody knocked on the door. My subordinates came to visit me. It was nice of them, but I couldn't shake off my worries about Nora and told them honestly what was going on and what I was going to do. Then all of them suddenly stopped smiling. They looked at each other and seemed to be contemplating whether they should tell me what they knew or not. After a pause, one of them told me something that shocked me. He told me that he saw Nora and my subordinate together in a car on the day I couldn't get in touch with her. He thought he was wrong at the time, but after what I told them, he thought maybe he wasn't wrong. The subordinate's name was Russ, and he often didn't listen to me despite his position. He came over with others when we had a housewarming party at our newly built house. They saw each other then, but I couldn't really believe that was the beginning of the two having an affair. Yet it was true that I lost contact with her on the day they were seen in a car together. He apologized for telling me that, even though there was no hard evidence, but I was rather thankful. When they left, I called her again and again. After several attempts, she finally answered the phone. I went straight to the point and told her somebody saw her and Russ together. I was anxious about how she would react, but she readily admitted it.
It's true, because I'm more attracted to Russ than to you, so let's divorce.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm serious. I'm going to divorce you, who has no prospect of the future, and start my new life with Russ.
Then she hung up the phone. I was angry and miserable and couldn't sleep a wink that night. Then the next day, I got a call from Russ, so I was prepared for the serious talk before answering. But he said something unexpected and panicked. "Boss, your wife is dead!" "Huh? I'm sorry! What are you talking about? Explain to me!" He said when they were back from the trip, they got involved in a car accident. Nora was all bloody and she wasn't conscious when EMT arrived. "Which hospital?" "It's Revenge Hospital," which was the very hospital I had been in. I hung up the phone and told the nurse what I just heard. She took me to where Nora was. I expected to be taken to a morgue or something and anxious, but she was still alive, although in critical condition. I was relieved. At the same time, Russ arrived and realized he jumped to the conclusion and lost himself. A few days later, she regained consciousness, but it turned out she was paralyzed below the waist and had to live in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. I wasn't really shocked to hear that, because I was already determined to divorce her since her affair became clear. Her cruel words were still lingering in my head, and I couldn't bring myself to rethink the divorce just because she was in a terrible condition. Her parents were happy that she was saved, but I told them about the situation and that I couldn't take care of her. Her mother collapsed to the floor. Her father slowly said, "I'm sorry about my daughter." He couldn't say any more, and I felt his pain too. Her parents told her about her condition. I was outside the room.
Why? You're lying! I can't walk forever? No!
She was kicking and screaming, but even with that, I couldn't be sympathetic to her. After a while, I was discharged from the hospital and went back to work. Everyone welcomed me back, but I didn't see Russ there. They said he was fired. Russ was having an affair when he had a fiancée, but this accident and his affair were revealed to his fiancée and her family, and they called off the engagement. His fiancée was the daughter of our company's VIP, and our CEO was also invited to the wedding. The CEO was furious when the whole thing was open, like nobody ever saw him that angry before. They terminated the contract with our company, and the CEO was humiliated. Russ was sued by the company, his fiancée, and me, where it could be worse than the hellhole. The accident was certainly unfortunate. I thought I could never forgive Russ, but if it were not for their affair, this accident wouldn't have happened. I'm not laughing about the accident, though. It's really complicated. If Russ was still working in the same office as if nothing had ever happened, I didn't know how I would act, so not seeing him anymore was a sure relief for me. They got punished from above without me doing anything. I went to Nora with the divorce papers in my hand. She said,
You still love me. I clearly know that you are the one. I'll love you forever. The way ahead of us might be the hard one, but we can overcome it together.
"No, you'll overcome alone. I just stopped by to give you the divorce paper that you wanted." I said it and put the paper before her. She opened her eyes wide and said,
Are you serious? You're abandoning me when I can't walk?
"Look at yourself. It's karma. Your parents know this too. You just need to sign and we'll go from there." When I left the room, I heard her loud cry, but I didn't look back. After a while, I got a short email from Nora's mother stating the divorce papers were accepted. She also told me a little about Nora. She has been hysterical and taking it out on her parents every day. It's been difficult for them, too. They took her in because of her condition, but they're planning to let her live alone. It'll be hard for her to live independently, and she may not want to live, but she sowed the seeds, and I don't feel sorry for her.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.